Good day everyone, we are the Group 6 who will tackle about architect Gabriel Formoso and his works. Let's first start to talk about the life of architect Gabriel Formoso. He was born in Makati, Manila on April 9, 1915, and his father is known as Gregorio Formoso and his mother is Alvara Papa Formoso. On April 20, 1938, Gabriel Formoso married Celia Araulo and they had 4 children, named Junior, Maria Erlinda, Roberto, and Gabriel. Formoso graduated college in 1937 in University of Santo Tomas with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Architecture. He became a licensed architect in 1939 with a registration number 99. So let's talk about the work experience of architect Formoso. His work experience apprenticeship with the Office of Architect Andres Luna de San Pedro, Office of Architect Pablo Antonio Sr., and the Architect's Profile. He formed a partnership with Luis Araneta, then established his own office. Formoso, a fellow of the United Architects of the Philippines, or also known as UAP, was the founding chairman of the Kanungan Architectural Foundation of the Philippines, organized by UAP Fellows. Now let's talk about the awards and achievement of architect Formoso. In 1977, Formoso received the Patnubay ng Sining at Kalinangan Award from the City of Manila. In 1990, the UAP conferred on him its highest honor, which is the Likha Award and Gold Medal of Merit. PRC Outstanding Architect of the Year in the year of 1979, and Republic Cultural Heritage Award in the year of 1973. Now, of course, every architect has their own philosophy when it comes to establishing buildings and their designs. Architect Formoso emphasizes 3 points in establishing his own works. First is the architecture is a fine art committed to creating beauty. Second, the social nature of architect places a unique responsibility on the architect that a building becomes a part of the environment and function in a dynamic interaction with it. And lastly is that architecture must strive for simplicity. For more than 40 years of practices, he designed about 80 buildings and more than 150 residences. Now we will talk about the 5 of his outstanding works here in the Philippines. First is the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which is the central bank of the Philippines. It was established on July 3, 1993, pursuant to the provision of the Republic Act 7653 or the New Central Bank Act of 1993. It is one of the post-war styles of the Philippine architecture, classified as post-independence or post-colonial, specifically brutalism. It is a harmonious composition of massive concrete blocks relieved of their severity by continuous horizontal bands of windows.
One of the buildings designed by Gabriel Formoso is Asian Institute of Management. The joining of international and indigenous architectural tradition with wooden panels, ragstone work, and bold concrete masses give the exterior of the Asian Institute of Management both warmth and virility. The wooden panels evoke the bandeja panels of Bahay na Bato. Built in 1970, the Asian Institute of Management makes generous use of materials native to the Philippines, such as adobe and molabe. The use of molabe panels was inspired by Filipino ancestral homes. Architect Gabriel Formoso described his design process for the Asian Institute of Management during his UAP Likha speech in 1990. To project an Asian regional appearance was a design criterion which I endeavored to satisfy. It was to possess an Asian or Philippine. The solution came in the form of molabe bandejas, an idea borrowed from the Filipino ancestral houses of the Spanish era. The planning of the case room facilities for graduate studies, the students' residence, library, administration, chapel, and cafeteria revolves around a sunken central garden court designed by landscape architect Chitong Santos. Formoso's architecture was conceived with the mantra of stark simplicity, austere configuration, honesty of material, rational functionalism, and clinical efficiency. He also described his own work as the embodiment of honesty of conception and the principled concern for human requirements transcending the relevancy of prejudice and instinct. And that's all for the Asian Institute Management. Thank you.
The Pacific Star Building or also known as the Nauru Building, is a 29-story high-rise building located in Makati. It was the tallest building in the country upon its completion. And to talk more about the Pacific Star Building, it is important to also learn a little bit about a small country which is called the Nauru. If you ask why, that's because that little country actually had this building built. And in fact, you can see the building's Nauruan heritage with the 12-pointed star figure on top, which is the same star that you will see on the Nauruan flag. Through the government-owned company called the Nauru Phosphate Corporation, what the Nauruan government opted to do was to venture into real estate properties and earn from the revenues generated by these properties. And in the beginning of 1970s, the Nauru Phosphate Corporation was building posh hotels, towering office buildings, and residential towers in different parts of the globe, including Australia, Fiji, Guam, United States, New Zealand, and of course, the Philippines. For the Philippine project, the Nauru Phosphate Corporation tapped the services of architect Gabriel Formoso, who was also behind the Peninsula Manila, to design the edifice. The result is the Pacific Star Building, a two-building structure consisting of a 29-story high-rise and a 6-story low-rise, both of concrete with vertical arc glass windows along with a fountain that ornaments the driveway. And at the time of its completion in 1989 until 1991, the building, which was called the Nauru Building, actually held the record for being the tallest building in the country. Eventually, the high life Nauru enjoyed came crashing down by the 1990s. The accelerated mining, which was often unchecked, caused the Nauru's phosphate supply to quickly shorten by the time. It is also didn't help that the government of Nauru Phosphate Corporation was suffering from mismanagement and disastrous investments. As a way to alleviate the worsening situation in the country, the Nauru Phosphate Corporation decided to sell off those properties it invested in, and the Pacific Star Building was one of them, which was actually acquired by the Century Properties. However, the money received from those sales were not enough to save the company and the Nauru, and eventually, the company was reorganized, downsized, and renamed the Republic of Nauru Phosphate Corporation. Now, Nauru, on the other hand, was no longer exporting as much phosphate as before, and even those phosphate exports could no longer sustain the needs of its population, so they were relying on aids from other countries. At the present, Nauru has no diplomatic mission in the country or in many other countries today as a result of the sharp decline of its economy. As such, the Pacific Star Building serves a tangible reminder not only of the link between the Philippines and Nauru, but also of a time when Nauru had the ambition and confidence to make its presence known in a grand manner. On a less depressing note, the Pacific Star Building set the stage for the transformation of the Makati CBD and beyond. Since its completion, taller buildings would be built in Makati CBD, trying to be as iconic as the Pacific Star Building in their own right. But some structures actually took inspiration from the building, and the most notable example is the Makati City Hall new building, which bore from the arched vertical windows of Pacific Star. And in fact, former Vice President and former Makati Mayor Jejo Marbinay admits that the new City Hall building took inspiration from the Pacific Star building.
The Peninsula Manila, it is owned and operated by the Hong Kong and Shanghai hotels, known and famous for his proud heritage as the Asia's oldest hotel company still in operation. The hotel was built in the mid-1970s to be one of the venue where the delegates of the forthcoming annual meeting of the International Monetary Fund in 1976. The driving force behind the hotel's construction is the Peninsula Hotel Group, one of the famous hoteliers in Hong Kong, behind the renowned hotel, the Peninsula. The Manila set is actually going to be the peninsula's first hotel outside Hong Kong, and it wanted to make the first venture a good one. It tapped the services of one of the country's foremost architects of that time. It's not Leandro Locsin but Gabriel Formoso, the same architect behind the Club Filipino in San Juan and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas building along the Manila Bay. The mistake can be forgiven since Formoso at that time employed brutalist architecture in his works, and the Peninsula Manila was no exception. But on that matter, some will point out the famous cascading fountains at the hotel's exterior at the corner of Ayala and Makati Avenue. In reality though, that was a product of the later renovations made to the hotel by Formoso in the 1990s, which resulted in a disconnect in design between the brutalist original and the neoclassical additions. Nevertheless, the fountains have become such a landmark in the Makati business district that the moment you see it, you know you are in the heart of the metropolis premier financial district.
One of the nation's oldest club is Club Filipino. Given its significance to the nation's history, it is conceivably one of the most well-liked social clubs in the nation. Club Filipino has a rich history that began at 9 Calle Alex, Naligardo Street in Manila. With its first member drawn from the Ilustrado class, it was distinctive for being the first social club in the Philippines with Filipino members, challenging the prevailing trend of class catering to expatriates. The club temporarily closed during the Philippine-American War but resumed its activities afterward. However, American authorities requested a name change, and it became Club International before adopting its current name, Club Filipino. Throughout its history, the club hosted social events such as balls and parties, and it became a significant political venue when Corazon Aquino was inaugurated as President of the Philippines on February 25, 1986. So in honor of this historic event, the hall where her inauguration took place was later renamed the Cory C. Aquino Kalayaan Hall. Over the years, the club changed locations, moving from Calle Alex to Plaza Goiti, now Plaza Lacson, and later to Manga Avenue, Sampaloc, Santa Mesa in 1970. It found more permanent home in Green Hills, San Juan with the Neo-Bahay Nabuto-style building designed by architect Gabriel. With almost 120 years in existence, it is impressive to see a club such as Club Filipino that has been able to weather the continuing changes in the landscape of the metropolis and the country as a whole. It is reasonable to expect that the club will continue to perform its role as a host in the social and political affairs of the country.
And that is the life and architectural work of architect Gabriel Formoso here in the Philippines. Thank you for watching.